and God will follow you all the days of your life. And respect each other.
We will make them happy, give them everything they want. And behind your back, they will try to take your life, but never damn the bridge that you cross on. When you was at the gun, remember I will pick you up. Ungratefulness would never done. Ungratefulness would never done. Some ungrateful people, they always are wrong. Ungratefulness would never done. Ungratefulness would never done. Some ungrateful people, they always are wrong.
Remember, not man that's sharing bread with Jah. Share bread. Remember, I help you to the end.
Who want to others as they will do to you? Do good and God will follow you. All the others you live. What is where you must be. Don't let no one tell you no. What you reap is what you sow. Far brighter tomorrow. Ungratefulness would never done. Ungratefulness would never done. Some ungrateful people, they always are wrong. Ungratefulness would never done. Ungratefulness would never done. Some ungrateful people, they always are wrong.
You gotta continue letting love flow night and day, and keep praying to the Almighty Jah.
They will live in your place and try to take your place. Them and their friends, they will talk hypocrites on you. That's what they will do. Don't trust them no more. They will lay on you, baby, you want sweat cause obligation on you. Ungratefulness would never done. Ungratefulness would never done. Some ungrateful people, they always are wrong. Ungratefulness would never done. Ungratefulness would never done. Some ungrateful people, they always are wrong.
Ooh, yeah. I am stuck between a rock and a hard place in this modern time. God gave us a gift, we brain and we cranium, still He gave us a mind. Think about positive endeavors to make we life rise up. But some people that I know thinking so low, they brain living in the dust because they would see it on the name of a brother with malice intention, when instead they could be uplifting a sister for life progression. It is so hard now when a man turn a big man and still didn't grow. But the reason they procrastinate and gossip is because their mind is poor. So I say poor mind will gossip. Illiteracy, simple mind, talk about places that they could never.
And good night to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Once again, it is time for Talking Points. My name's Sheldon Scott. I'll be here with you up until the 10 o'clock hour. It's now 5 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock on the Spice Isle of Grenada. You nearly add on a 2 minutes on the time there, you know.
You do what's right, and for sure, my friends, you are
Patricia and Matthew,
son to fight.
how are both of you doing? Hope you're having a wonderful night tonight.
It's how you make it.
My good friend Ian out there in Canada, good night to you, bro.
When you sit in
Fatman George, good night.
nest, that making you
My Springs people out there in Canada, good night to you.
mine is the center of your universe.
So those of you, whether you're in Alberta, whether you're in Ottawa, whether you're in wherever you are in Canada, I want to say a special good night to you all.
Place to uplift and elevate those around me
Those of you out there in the US,
is always the way to go. I want to please
Texas, good night.
because I say poor mind will gossip. Illiteracy
Texas listeners just kind of sneak up on me, you know.
is
There's been tongue and there's just come up, hey, I just listen to you all the way from Texas.
about events and
Met one individual recently. He drives the trucks, you know, the interstate he drives and so on. He says both himself and some other truck drivers, they listen to the program while they're on the road, yeah? And they would sometimes call each other, you hear what you're talking about there? You hear about that?
vision,
So good night to all of you, bro.
dreams, and love to expatiate.
Good night to those of you in the UK who stay up late to listen to the program live.
Their life is on wait. Most
My good friend, you need to send that list of the names of your relatives that are listening out there in the UK for me. You need to send it for me again.
I wrote this song to let them know they must change their mentality. You spend all your time
Good night to you, Xavier.
being canal and does not have a clue.
Good night to you, Adejan.
Creating a sense of
Good night to you, Zayla.
still don't believe it.
Good night to you, Zoe, Neela, Namara.
To uplift your standard.
Hope all of you are having a wonderful night. It is now 7 minutes after 8.
My friend,
Means it's time to start getting ready to head to bed. Got school in the morning, yeah?
mine will gossip. Illiteracy, simple mind.
Javon, you better take a sleep too, you know. Yeah. When daddy come, you go collect it. All right.
Never be ordinary mind. Talk about events and personalities, but wouldn't mind speak about ideas. A great mind speaks philosophy.
And I've been inundated with so much information today. I don't even know which one of the issues to start with.
Be great. That is why you
There are so much. Even when I got in the studio, there's a major issue that I didn't know about it before, but as I got to studio, I got the information. And you know, when we get the information, we get the information.
friends for Calypso unification. If artists use their mind, there would be more focus, knowledge and
Yes, Carib Spice. I realize Texas big in the thing, yeah?
us.
North Carolina, South Carolina,
Stop bickering, making fuss over what?
Maryland is big there too. Florida, yeah, all parts of Florida. I ain't specifying anyone.
Us to the water hole, but you can't force the horse to drink. So I say, poor mind,
And of course, you know, New York State is locked in. Long Island is there.
simple mind. Talk about places
Brooklyn is always in the house.
could never be.
Yeah, Queens is there.
Talk about evil
Manhattan is on as well.
personalities, but wouldn't mind speak about
But just the whole of New York, they're on.
speaks philosophy.
Yes, indeed, folks. And we will keep the phone lines open tonight, 44070. I said that at one point in time, I will be taking a call in relation to a specific issue. And I think it's important that we speak about that issue tonight. I'm not going to preempt it, but I will be calling a specific person tonight to have a conversation on an issue. California, good evening to you all. Yeah. Arizona, my good friends out in Arizona, I haven't heard from you all for quite a while. You know, next thing I'm thinking you all in Arizona and you all here. I know that's how it has happened with us. You know, it's only when I go to that location sometime, and it's always just before you all go back to Arizona to see you all. Zola, the amazing. Good night to you, my dear. Hope you're having a wonderful one. Yeah, that's my good friend Zola. So good night to all of the listeners on YouTube, on Facebook. I'm not going to go over the entire list tonight. Toronto, I see you there. And folks, it's always important for you to ensure that as you connect with other Grenadians out in the diaspora, that you put them onto the program. Yeah, it's always important that you network. And I know nearly all of you that are listening do that. And we do appreciate that. Because sometimes you see someone, they come down for whatever reason, they come down and they meet you in St. George or they meet you in Grandance, wherever, and they say, Sheldon, I listened to the program, so and so put me onto the program, and they put a few of us onto the program and so on. So it's always important to do that. Huh? Just making sure we get our numbers up before I start the discussions. Huh? And before I get into the other areas, I just kind of want, hey, Debbie, of course New Jersey's in the house. Come on. If I Washington State, wherever, and Washington DC, Washington State is one place, Washington DC, yeah. Wonder if we have Grenadians in Washington State, yeah. I know Washington DC, and so yes, Washington DC area, and so Washington State, yeah. Mommy George, good night to you. Good night to you, Martin and Miss V. Richie and Paula, good night. Mrs. Marine Macphill and Mr. Hudson Macphill, a special good night to both of you. Of course, let me say special good night to you, Cammy. Cammy's a solia, she always stupid. Cammy's a real solia. You know, and honestly, I need to find out what's the latest with Miss Jacob. I haven't heard from or about her for a couple of weeks, so I need to do an update to find out what is the latest with Miss Jacob. Huh? I know all of you would love that, yeah?
Some wouldn't like it, but I just got to sing my song.
So last night we spoke about the diplomatic community and what is taking place there and so on. And the contradictions where you heard the government, the ruling party, including the individual that holds the portfolio of foreign affairs at this point in time. You heard them speaking about creating a professional diplomatic service. And yet still you realize that by and large what we have is a political diplomatic service. And again, they may want to come and say, well, the NNP used to do this or that. It's not a case of that. And we need to stop from them when they come with these nonsensical arguments about the NNP used to. It is not a case of the NNP used to. Grenadians are holding the present administration accountable for their statements, their promises, their policy directives that they said to the Grenadian people is the direction that they are going. So we're holding them responsible for the various things they have said, for the directions that they have pointed to. That is what we're doing. Yeah? So when you say you're creating you're creating a professional service, yet you're going to be sending a person, and you said you're going to be getting people who are within the ministry. Within the ministry, that's the people that you're going to get to place as our representatives overseas and young people. And then you also make the statement that you had tons of applications coming in from people who are interested in representing Grenada in various places at various capacities, because not everybody is a ambassador or a high commissioner or honorary consul. There's first secretary. There is one they call, I think, minister's council or something like that. That's another one just below ambassador. And so there are different categories that you have when you're speaking diplomacy. And because of that, if you said that you have all of these applications in, kindly explain to us how it is that your choice becomes to go to open a high commission. Now I'm saying, if you're going to open a high commission, we would expect that the person that you're sending there is a person who already understands diplomacy, they understand negotiation, they understand how to do various things to the benefit of Grenada. But you're sending a person who the whole of Grenada know is over the age of 70. I can remember him retiring from the Government Information Service not too long after Hurricane Ivan. And this year, Hurricane Ivan would be 20 years. So just you do your calculations. Yeah, because even if he left at 55, you know that he's still most likely over 70. Not in his 60s, he's most likely over 70 at this point in time. And this is the same group of people who are talking about youth and who old and who this and who that. You're also speaking of an individual who is not, and we don't like to go into those directions, but who is not well. So they don't have the training. They've never worked in that field before. So it leads us to believe that you're giving one of your boys a work. Don't tell us that you're trying to improve and you find it's necessary. Why are you doing the people of Canada that? If you're going to send somebody and you're going to open the High Commission and you say there's a need, you also said that it is expensive to run a High Commission or to open these offices. You have 8, you're adding another one. Now it's 9 offices that you're going to have overseas. It's going to cost millions of dollars to run these offices. So how is it that you end up now, when you're looking at Canada, that instead of looking within the ministry, and you have people, folks, don't get it wrong, there are people that are trained in diplomacy, have worked in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for many years, and that would make excellent high commissioners out there to Canada. I ain't going to call names because then that's the people self they would not choose. But there are people that are there that are trained, competent, and capable. And if you're trying to build a professional service where what you're saying is that people that are going there are going to be the people who are trained in this area, have worked in this area, so that you could decide today that that person, you're going to pull them from Canada and you're going to place them in China, or you're going to take the person from the High Commission in England and you're going to place that person in Venezuela and that you're going to switch around. You can say that you're going to do that and everybody would say, well, no problem, because you know that these people are career diplomats. But instead of that, it has been and continues to be jobs for the boys and girls. So don't give us this kind of nonsensical, that's why they have to choke when they're talking, because they know for a fact that what they are saying is untruthful and that they are lying to the Grenadian people. And they are lying because they know what they are saying is not true and not the true intent. If you've got your political infighting within your organization, and as such you deem it necessary to get rid of your chairman from on island so that he will not be able to influence people whenever you have your next, be it general council or convention or so, that your chairman before such a time will not be able to influence people to a particular direction, then say you find a job for the boys, a job for one of the boys. You send him out because you, same way as you do with Glenn, you did not want Glenn Noel in Grenada. So you took Glenn Noel and you sent him out there to Cuba. And you sent him there not because you believe he was the best person to do the job, not because you believe in his capacity to do the job. You sent him there because you thought that he was damaging to the political brand that you're trying to create. So you took Glenn Noel and you stick him in Cuba to get him out of the way. So he can't meddle locally. He can't go in Grenville and line by the shop and we'll talk with the guys and them and drop Uganda there. He can't go up in different villages and so and convince people to go a particular direction. He can't do that. You take him and you dump him in Cuba so that he will not be able to do that. You don't want him around, so you get him as far away as you could at that point in time. Because remember, his appointment was one of the first ones. Not because they saw an urgent need to get somebody to Cuba, but because they saw an urgent need to start the rebranding of the political organization and to get rid of certain people, so they sent him up there. I mean, anybody with eyes to see would know that is what took place. So don't try to give us the impression that, oh, you're trying to build a professional service. Nonsense. Nonsense. They mentioned Mr. Tali Francis. Can they tell us, what training does Mr. Tali Francis have in diplomacy? What training does he have in the field of foreign affairs? If you're speaking, I think it's banking was the area that he's been in for most of his life. I think he actually retired out of banking and so on. So he doesn't necessarily qualify as a young person. He's not under the age of 40. He can't qualify as a young person. And he also doesn't qualify as a diplomat. But that's the name that you draw out of the hat. So you send in a CV, you take him and you send him. Is it because you believe that he's politically aligned to your organization? You wouldn't take a NNP and send them. You would not take a NNP and send them. Because if your political party has a political line of march, they have a particular policy that they want to implement, they are not going to take somebody who they know is not aligned to their philosophy and send them anywhere. Let's just understand that. So when they come talking their nonsense, call them out on it. Because it's absolute nonsense. Yeah? Again, that's why they had a choke when they're talking. Because they're talking nonsense and they know what they're saying is not truthful. They know that as a fact. It's not truthful. So I listen to them and, we sent Mr. Tali Francis here and we sent Miss Rachel Croney. Well, Miss Rachel Croney, yes, she's worked in that field. I think she worked with the U.S. Embassy at a point in time. So she's worked in that field and you understand. But again, as I explained last night, that in itself is a bit of tokenism. That you've sent an individual so that you could do exactly what you did. That when you're asked the question, you could point to this person and say, but look, we have her. Look, we have her. Yeah? So don't try to give us that impression that the people we've sent out there, that they are impartial and that kind of thing. And I think there's one other person, I think they are the UN. I think it's the UN they are. That has been a career diplomat. They've been involved in this thing for many years. The name eludes me at this point in time. But don't try to give us that impression, man. Let us know straight up. Stop the nonsense. Yeah? Cut between the nonsense. Let us know directly, hey, we partners Brooks, we trying to give him our money. Just say that. We partnered well, so when he up there, he'll be able to get proper medical treatment. Say that. Don't come and give us the impression. And furthermore, since the appointment of these individuals last year, what have been the benefits to the state of Grenada? Because they're already coming up on 1 year. I think that most of the appointments were announced in March of last year. We're now in April of 2024. If they've been out there, what are the benefits that Grenada has gotten from those things? Those people who are out there. Yeah, what are the benefits? You sign an MOU, you go to Cuba, you sign some MOUs. Yeah, you sign some MOUs. Memorandum of Understanding. We await to see what comes out of those Memorandum of Understanding. There, over the years, I've known many Memorandums of Understanding to be signed by various governments. That's one thing. That's a document that says this is the intent. The intent is one thing. Actually now actualizing and bringing the MOU to reality is a different situation. It depends on if the economic situation between parties change. It depends on various things. Various things have to be taken into consideration as to whether or not a MOU that is signed actually comes to fruition. So to go out and say, well, we sign a pile of MOU, so. Nice, you sign it, so. Yeah? And you signed the Samoa agreement and you didn't even know. That was a memorandum of understanding to end it. You just went there, you signed it, and ended. And you tried to give us the impression that, no, we signed that, but it doesn't mean that we have to stick to that. So how come it mean that for the Samoa agreement, but it don't mean that for Cuba? Yeah? You see how they try to bamboozle you? And that's why I say I really admire the folks who listen to this program, because when you meet them on the street or you're on the bus and you meet them and so on, you recognize that they are highly intelligent people and that these people understand the concepts that you're speaking about on the program. And because they understand these concepts, they can go and they can speak to others about what we have been speaking about on this program. Yeah? And I continue to say we because it's not a meeting. Yes, say I have mice in my pocket. We. It's not about me. It is us. It's a family. Yeah? The reason you can hear us very clear and everything right now is because members of the family decided, yes, we realize you're always having problem with the board, you're always having problem with the board, we're going to help. And they came together and they helped. You have members that realize, hey, I said it, that I was having problems with doing clips. They got together. They made sure, not in fact, one person in particular, they just sent a message, and I keep asking that person to message me because in resetting the WhatsApp, I lost the number. And that's the tele type of person. They're not upfront. They don't want any recognition. They refuse to give their name, all sorts of things. But they made sure and they organized that you get the machine to be able to do that. Yeah? The other people who would assist in whichever way by sending information and all that kind of thing. So it's a family thing. A lot of people tend to say, oh, Sheldon. No, it's all of us. Yeah? Don't say Sheldon, say talking points. It's all of us. Because it's not me alone. It's each and every one of you that assist by getting the information in here. Yeah? And in a little while, I'm going to reach out to a friend of mine. And there's an issue that myself and himself want to discuss. And then there are two other issues I'll be discussing right after that. So you know what? Let me see if I can get on this tune. And let me see if I can reach out to that good friend of mine.
Dreams of brighter days, a vision that's crystal clear. Things you will do, this you will be in the coming year. Of course, it's just a dream. Reality have to turn. So the quest to conquer, the quest to achieve, it has now begun. There's a move in the right direction, a plan will drive.
Yeah, man, if you're doing so, just stop taking Grenadians for fools. You want jobs, boy, you're setting up your partner, just say so. Don't come and give us this kind of thing. All right, and we have a call online. Hello, good night.
Yeah, good night, Sheldon.
Good night, Pastor. How you doing?
By God's grace, I'm doing good, man.
All right, so, Pastor Lewis, I know that many people are familiar with your voice. They have heard you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Especially the crew at 91.9, 91.5.
Yeah, the voice of one crying in the wilderness, you know.
Yes, indeed. And you were talking to me about a situation just over the last weekend. We've been having that conversation.
Yes, sir.
And I thought it's necessary. Instead of me trying to speak about it and bumbling the whole thing, I decided to speak with you on air in relation to the issue, because I know you are fearless. You're not afraid to speak on an issue as it is.
Yes, sir.
Tell us what has taken place.
All right. Sheldon, Scott is really happy to have me, you know, on Talking Points. And the reason why I really choose to really come on Talking Points with a topic is because to let Grenadian know the high level of victimization from the NDC administration towards the NNP, which is very much unfair. About 25 years ago, Sheldon Scott and the listening audience, about 25 years ago, during the reign of Miss Lorena Walsh and NNP, some lands has been cut up in the Cajuna area about 24 to 25 years ago. During the period of time that this land was cut up, nobody at the same time did not hold any title to the land, because the land, a government land, yet been cut up, but it has not been regularized. Mm-hmm. And secondly, thirdly, where the land has been situated during that period of time was really a wilderness. And even though people had the intention of really building later, when government give them the okay, some of them just leave the land in the wilderness because there was no, basically, water or any electricity close to that area.
So basic utilities were not in
Yes,
the area. Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. So as a result of that, the land did not regularize. Nobody didn't hold title to the land. So as a result of that, people just leave the land on the ground there. But I have a very good friend by the name of Richard Thomas, better known as Messi. We grew in the same Lafayette area. So a couple of years ago, Messi said, Pastor Luis, I understand that you're going back to Grenada, man, looking for a piece of land to build a house. So I say, yes, I'll be thankful, but because we don't know money to buy land, So Richard Thomas told me that a couple of years ago, some land had been cut up in the Cajuna area, and he have a lot of land down there, but he's not interested in it. He's definitely not going to build down there because there is not, as you rightly say, Sheldon, utility-wise, nah. And the place is a wilderness, and there is no access road. So he said that when you make the time, you will come and I will bring you in the back of Cajuna, and I will show you where the lands are, where my peace are. Sheldon Scott, when Messi brought me down here, I thought I was in Grenada. To be honest,
High bush.
and I mean, I'm speaking here, and people could attest to that. Big trees, forests, main drain, etc. But I wanted the land because I'm a man, I could walk. So what I saw frightened me, but at the same time, the eyes was weak in mine. You understand? So I said, Messi, well, I thank you very much for the offer. But what I need you to do, I need you to give me a letter so I can be able to go to the Ministry of Agriculture. I do not just want to build like that. I need to go to the Ministry of Agriculture, saying that you said that you had that little piece, even though you didn't have no entitlement to it, but I will still need something to work with because I do not want to do anything illegal. As a result of that, Messi prepared a wonderful letter for me. I took the letter down to the Botanical Garden, and I brought it to the office of Mr. Buckley. When Mr. Buckley looked at the letter, Mr. Buckley told me, Pastor Louis, there was no need for Richard to give you that letter because the land in the back there, nobody owned, nobody have any entitlement to the land. As a result of that, he advised me to make application for the piece of Crown land. I took the advice of Mr. Buckley and I made the application for the land. In the space of 6 weeks, I got a reapplication letter from the Ministry of Agriculture. I quote, Bartholomew Louis, Cajuna, St. Andrews. Dear Mr. Louis, reapplication of purchase of Crown land. The Ministry of Agriculture Land Fisheries hereby acknowledge receipt of your application dated April 21, 2021. But Messi had handed that piece of land for me years before that, but that is the time I feel to face the forest. So that is the time I feel I must do the application for the land. So the Ministry of Agriculture Land Fisheries hereby acknowledge receipt of your application dated the 21st day of April 2021, seeking the purchase of Crown land in Cajuna, St. Andrews. Presently, your request has been reviewed and your application has been recorded within our database and will be considered on a need assessment basis. If you live on the property, we invite you to call the Director of Land and Survey Department on telephone number 440-2708 to arrange an interview to have your situation addressed. Please be guided. Yours sincerely, Elvis Morin, Mr. Elvis Morin, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture. When I received that letter, with the help of my MP Delma Thomas, I decided to move forward to really have to clean the place up. And with their advice, you could say that I has the permission was to go ahead. But what happened now? There was no access road. So I decided now there was a road years ago, but seeing that the place was a wilderness, all the big trees grew back in the road. I seek the permission of Mr. Heary Beggs at Maribo to assist me in reopening the road, which he did. So when I start to build, Mr. Sheldon Scott and the listening audience, they now was about up the water inside. And that was a plus. I got the permission from the Ministry of Agriculture, water came in. Shortly after that, the electricity department decided now that they're going to bring up the poles inside. And during that period of time now, people realize now that this jungle becoming a city. So even though people claim that he had land and he had no entitlement to it,
so at that
people
time,
are interested now.
Hold on. So at that time, more people started to move into that area.
Exactly right.
Okay.
Exactly right.
So before it was just you down there, now other people start to move into this
Well,
area.
basically, there were two other persons, you understand, in
but
the
it was
wilderness.
mainly high woods, right?
Mainly high woods. So I took the joy to really make sure that I will, and I tell people, I will make their nice village. And up to now, people say they should have named it after Pastor Louis. So after that now, I start building my home. So within about, close to about 5 months after that, this government surveyor came into the back here and they resurveyed all the lands. I repeat, the government surveyor came to the back here and they resurveyed all the lands, which make me happy and which make other people happy. Because, even though they don't regularize yet and you have no entitlement to the land, but at least there is a plus. Later on, you're hungry for.
Yeah.
I feel proud of what I'm doing here. As in the back here with the land. Okay. As a result of that, then we see that when the MP Delma Thomas realized in the back they become a beautiful village, then they'll move in and she decide to do some road. So that was a plus. Again, from a jungle to a nice village. All right. Now, after the surveyor come and the survey, I know where my boundary fall. And everybody else, even though they didn't have entitlement to the land, but at the same time, they know where the boundary fall. Now, very close to me, after the surveyor should have surveyed my piece, very close to me, there was a small strip of land that cannot hold a house, 18 by 16. Very small piece. So my son Samuel will say, Daddy, well, maybe later on I could build here. I say, Samuel, I understand what you're saying, But as a pastor, me is your father. We ain't want anything to do here illegally. So Samuel, what I will advise you to do, I will advise you to do the same thing what your father do. Write to the Ministry of Agriculture, applying for the little piece there, which is not that big. So Samuel did apply to the ministry and he get a reply. Mr. Samuel Lewis, Kaduna St. Andrews, reapplication to purchase of Crown land. The Ministry of Agriculture and Land Fisheries hereby acknowledge the receipt of your application dated April 22nd, 2021, seeking the purchase of Crown land in Kaduna St. Andrews. Presently, your request is being reviewed and your application has been recorded within our database and will be considered on a need assessment basis. If you have lived on the property, we invite you to call the Director of Land and Survey Department on telephone number 440-2708 to arrange an interview to have your situation addressed. Please be guided accordingly. Yours sincerely, Elvis Morin, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture. So Sheldon Scott, based on what I read here, you have 2 letters. You have 2 letters here. Good. Now after Samuel wrote, Samuel get an answer. So the surveyor decide now to come back in the back again because there was some misunderstanding with people with boundary, and they decide to resurvey again for clarification.
So this is the second time it's being surveyed now. Okay.
Definitely. This is the second time the surveyor came in. So when the surveyor came in now, the surveyor said, Pastor Louis, this little piece here, who that for? I say, my son make application for that little piece. So he waiting from the Ministry of Agriculture to get an answer in order for you to start doing something, because I don't want my son to do anything illegal. Meantime, he planted a little coconut tree, a little pear tree, a little fig tree there, because we had to eat food. Oh, we have to eat food, and the place looking nice. And everybody saying, Pastor Louis, you well walk in the back. Why did they name this place after Pastor Louis? Okay. So the supervisor said, well, Pastor Louis, based on what I am seeing here, that little piece of land too small for Samuel to build a house. So why you do? So even make a joke, it's only Samuel at 10 children, where they go around the yard. So the supervisor say, can I step down more in yours and add to Samuel's own a little piece? So Samuel will have a yard. I said, go ahead. I'm coming to a close now. A couple weeks ago, about 6 weeks ago, Senator Gloria Thomas, Senator for St. Andrews Northwest, on 2 occasions, I saw she came in the back here on 2 occasions. Well, as a senator, I do not know what is your purpose. As senator, you have a right to go you want.
Mm-hmm.
But when she came the 3rd time, I was not here. But when I came in the afternoon, I got information from some of the residents that Senator Gloria Thomas came to the back here and she said she was looking for land to put her supporters.
Not land to put Grenadians in general. Land
No,
to put
I'm looking land
she
for land for
supporters.
the supporters.
Oh,
so as a result,
so that is how the thing go, Pastor.
yes, and I was disappointed with that. No, as I said, I want to be honest. I did not heard this statement, but the people in the back here gave me the information when I came, and I was disappointed because I am not your people. Am I a Canadian? Is my son a Canadian? All right, let me go further to that children's car. So she started to ask questions. Who built in here? Who in the back before? Who owned that piece there? Who this piece for? And she decided to ask questions. Well, listen very carefully. About 3 weeks after that, I sit in my veranda here, and I saw a Ministry of Agriculture van coming up in the back. The gentleman who I know very much, Mr. Paul John, better known as Iko Bob, he called out to me. He said, Pastor Louis. I said, how you do, sir? Because I'm a good friend. I left, and I went down, and I met him. He asked me a question. Would one of his colleagues have a white piece of paper in his hand and a staple machine? Then Psycho Bob asked the question, Pastor Louis, do you know of anybody in the back here that are squatting on government land? I said, no, just like that. I said, why? He said, we get information that somebody is squatting on government land in the back here, and we come to prevent that from happening. I said, listen, not that I know of, just like that I'm saying it, because when I'm speaking like that, I'm thinking. I said, no, not that I know of, because the Suver came to the back here, and all the land already. And while I'm speaking like that, I'm wondering who the hell squatting? He said, okay, well, if you don't know, it's all right. The gentleman left, they went back inside of the van, and then they go the way. About 10 o'clock the following morning, the van was back. Mr. Paul John said, Pastor Louis, I came down, I was downstairs. He said, you could have told me it is you that's squatting on government land. I said, duh. I said, do you find I look like somebody that is squatting on government land? I mean, have a good view. So then, standing close to this small strip of land, he turned back and he asked me the question, Pastor Louis, who that little piece of land here for? And from the time he asked me the question, I clicked. I said, oh, in my mind. I said, this is a piece of land that Samuel applied for. He received an answer from the ministry, but he's waiting going on 5 years now in order for them to give him the okay. He's not doing anything on it. He don't plant a post on it. He don't have a rabbit coop on it. So the gentleman told me and tell me, okay, well, he's here, are you squatting? So he took a squatting letter, and he asked me the question now, which part of the little piece of land I could stick that piece of paper on? And I smiled. I said, Mr. John, stick it on the little mango tree. He said, all right. And he left, and he went away. I called Delma Thomas, Minister Delma Thomas. And I relate the problem to Miss Thomas. And Miss Thomas said, well, I find it a little bit strange, Pastor Louis, because for them to come to put a squatting letter on that little piece of land that Samuel applied for. And then Delma Thomas gave me some hopes by saying that all the people that living in this area where you are has no entitlement to no land. There is no regularization of the land. We were trying to do that while we were in office, but as you know, we lost the election. But I consider everybody in the back there where you live, as squatters, including you, including your son, and anybody that already built government wouldn't break it, and anybody that already have land. But Sheldon Scott, one thing I does not understand, there are people that is building now, no squatting letter. There are people that expanding, no squatting letter. There are people that cleaning up and burning for the gardening, no squatting letter. And many people asking a question, why is Pastor Louis' son is the only person that you target in the back here? And I know the answer. I am the voice of one crying in the wilderness. That is a form of victimization towards me and my family. I rest my case.
Yes, my brother. And I'd like to thank you so much for taking the time to explain to us what has been taking place with this issue.
And Sheldon, before you go,
especially that statement there that they're looking for place to put.
Trying to remove that piece of land from my son to give it to a relative of ours, Paul Thomas. According to him, I receipt for that. I close my case here.
Well, so you hear, and if it's so you hear, you're just basically saying what you hear.
Exactly. People must know what is happening. The high level of victimization. Listen, NDC in St. Andrews Northwest get more help than NMP from Delma Thomas. I could give her that. I could give Delma that. Delma pump help into NDC. She helped them. Land, road, she helped them. Until some NDP say, God, you don't give us, you give him them. You understand? So Sheldon, thank you very much, man.
Let me just ask this question before you go, my brother.
Yes, sir. Yes,
now that they consider yourself and everybody else to be squatting in the back there, is it that you all are in danger of being removed from the land? Because remember, government has been speaking about their Project 500, which I know was supposed to be 500 a year. Now you're hearing 500 in the term. It's changing to all sorts of things. And they say they're looking for land to do that. Do you think they're probably looking at the land in the back there as one of the sites to start doing some of the Project 500 thing?
No.
And they have you all in the way?
No. Definitely, I do believe that. I do believe that. That would be World War III.
Well,
I do believe that. Although they're capable of doing anything, but the way the land, there is not enough land in the back here to really do that.
Mm-hmm.
There is not enough land in the back here. But I'm saying one of these good days, man, you take a ride up, man, and see a village that Pastor Louis had built.
Yes, man. I go make sure.
One love, man.
The amount of place I have to go in St. Andrew.
Yes, yeah, man. One
right,
love.
Pastor, thank you very much.
All right, bye. Right.
Yes, indeed, folks. And I thought it necessary because you see some people give the impression that, there's no victimization taking place and that sort of thing. And that, people just free to say what they want and so on. How all of a sudden, the squad reached by Pastor, because Pastor is a person you hear his voice different places, crying in the wilderness. You hear him different places, praying and different things like that. And all of a sudden you realize he's a target. Yeah, all of a sudden he's a target, but they ain't targeting people and they ain't doing people nothing. Yes, they and feel so. Folks, the phone lines are open. 440-7377, 347-329-3101. Yeah, you're looking for places to put your supporters. What about everyone else? Yeah? What about everyone else? Yeah? And how come BIM come down in the back to do that and BAM didn't go? Because BIM is not the parliamentary representative of St. Andrew. Is it St. Andrews Northwest, as far as I know? BIM is not the parliamentary representative of St. Andrew Northwest. BAM, or BAM BAM, whichever way you want to put it. BAM is the parliamentary representative. So I thought both of them was bosom buddies and moving together close, close, close. How all of a sudden are looking for a place to put my supporters, not our supporters, not Grenadians on a whole. Instead of that, it is looking for a place to put my, you see what they're thinking? So in other words, if you are a New National Party supporter, maybe you need not even apply. Yeah? But they're looking for the place to put their supporters. Again, as a good friend of mine just telling me that the constituency has a parliamentary representative. Yet still is not the parliamentary representative go down this, they're looking for place to put people. Yeah? BAM ain't go down, but BIM go. Yeah? But I thought BIM and BAM used to be moving together. I thought everything BIM do, BAM no, and everything BAM no, BIM, everything BAM do, BIM no. So I thought this is BIM and BAM and BIM, BAM, bidim, badam, badam. I thought they was moving as a unit. But now you recognize something into right. Yeah, something into right. I'm looking for a place to put my supporters. I find that to be kind of, yeah. We have a call online. Hello, good night.
Good night, Mr. Scott.
Hi, good night, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
I too want to join Pastor Lewis. Pastor Scott. Mr. Scott. I was living in a village. I was living in a village called Lakabeke. This is a place where Mr. Gary had give out land for the landless. And we don't have good road inside here, neither street light. And I'm 66 years. I'm one of the very first residents living in this area. There is over 300 houses inside here now. And believe me, I was one in the first three, living out of these 300 houses. And I don't have proper road to come in and street light. And at my age, I is falling in the road. Vehicle cannot pass. What? This is a road what should be fixed many, many years ago. A matter of fact, Mr. Scott, I too is one of those who have been victimized by the person who doesn't win the seat. I was employed by Ms. Delma Thomas in the brigade for cleaning the area. I worked there for 4 years. And at the end, when the people win their seat, they meet us on the road and fire us on the road. Not in our office, but fire us while we are coming to work on morning times. By the very same lady. And Mr. Scott, since I've been fired, well, you met me in town when I've been going through my distress, when I've been going through the hospital. And Mr. Scott, my lady was sick home for 5 years and wasn't working. She was at the age of 65 years. I 66. And she wasn't working for 5 years, and I myself was working at the lowest grade here. And when the lady wins, she sit. I'm lost, she sit. She fired me from the job. And since that time, Mr. Scott, I haven't got it a day work with the government. And there is men who is 67 and 70 years who is getting work right in my village here. And there is over my age and there is getting work, and I don't get a day work up to this day yet, Mr. Scott. Mr. Scott, my madam died. And there is 2 parliamentary representatives in the village, and none of them had shared the sympathy with me, Mr. Scott.
And again, our sympathy on behalf of the Talking Point family and the passing of your madam.
Mr. Scott, you have gave me that, and you have called me out and shouted me out so loud, Mr. Scott. You big me up, you make me big. I feel nice when you call out Jacket Man, Mr. Scott. So I have to say that long. But it's times I is in pain, my body is not so well. But thank God, when I go into the supermarket or the shop to buy me pound of salt, and the vehicle is passing, they do not ask me where I'm going and what I'm going and do. But I is going on my way and I'm getting through every day, Mr. Scott, by the grace of God. So I still have NNP. Another thing, Mr. Scott, I hear people is calling out and asking for leadership. I have no problem with my leadership, with my leader, Dr. Kit Mitchell. There is so much of us in the party that could rule this party that I don't think that NNP have a problem for leadership. And those of us who say we are NNP and we're crying out for leadership, I don't know what we want. So I stay firm. I love Miss Pierre, I love Mr. Peter, I love Miss Clarice, I love everybody. All of them are leaders. So when come for leadership in the NNP party, as long as they don't vote out Dr. Kit, they have to vote him out. He said, I ain't going back. If he say he ain't going back, no problem. But I believe the majority of people, the true NNPites, they love Dr. Kit. I myself love Dr. Kit. And I become a NNPI due to my children. They were so young, and children have influence when they're going to school. When the children row and they say, yeah, follow the children, don't let them lead you astray. But the children have a lot of influence in the nation. The young people got a lot of influence. I is a strong Giriite. I was a Giriite. I could never be a Joel. I could never support the other party, no way for the struggle, what I see. I have seen the most beautiful lady. I line up the street and watch the most beautiful lady pass. I see Sky Red, I see Revolution, I see Invasion, I see all of them, so I know which one to choose, sir. Mr. Scott,
yes, sir.
Good night and
Jacket
lovely
Man.
to all my NNP people. Yes, sir.
All right, my brother. You have a good one, Jacket Man.
Mr. Scott, I want to send out good night to two persons.
Go right ahead.
I want to send out good night to my good friend in Pulse, Mr. Macklin Mitchell. Right, full meet. He is on Facebook. And I want to say good night to Miss Cami.
Yes, of course.
She's a nice lady.
Yes, man. We can't pass on without passing by Cami.
Good night to Miss Cami. Good night to all the rest of people. Good night, Mr. Scott.
Jacket Man. Have a good one, brother. Yeah, folks, that's my good friend Jacket Man. Yeah, man. Yes, indeed, folks. 440-7377 and 347-329-3101. It is just about 1 minute. In fact, by the time you hear it, it's going to be 9 o'clock on the Spice Isle of Grenada. Yeah, just about when you're hearing that, you should be here. Just know you're hearing it. Folks, yeah, there is an issue, yeah, and folks, believe me, I really feel it in truth, yeah. I feel it for Jacket Man, because I know the situation. Yeah? And they target him because they know Jacket Man is a man from ever since. I can tell you that even way back when the New National Party was in opposition the last time, and I used to do, together with Ian Edwards, we used to do Hard Talk. Jacket Man was a man that was a constant fixture on that program from way back when. Yeah, so they target him. But at the end of the day, we are all Grenadians. You talk about leadership. Me ain't getting into that talk, because let me tell you something. All are we is NNP. Anytime they ask you anything about, just remember something. All are we is NNP. Yeah? When we in we house, we could talk with business, we could do what we have to do. All are we is NNP. Yeah? So don't get it twisted. All are we is NNP. Right? And that's all I had to say on that particular one. But there's another issue that I wanted to raise. And folks, it's very troubling to me, some of the things that I'm hearing when it comes to healthcare. Very, very troubling. Some of the things I'm hearing when it comes to healthcare in this country at this point in time. When it reaches to the stage that the doctors, the medical doctors, the MDs, the medical doctors who are working within the government service refuse to continue with things the way that they are, that when a person is lying on a hospital bed and that person has to have a blood test done. Now understand, and I hope I could get Nurse Wendy in a time, and I hope she's finished work, that I could get her in a little while. I haven't seen her online yet, but knowing Nurse Wendy, I'll get her. To get, for instance, a simple CBC test. Well, let me just say simple CBC test. Because while I'm no medical doctor, I understand the importance of having a CBC test done. Because that test will tell if the person has an infection. Doctors who are listening, because I know there are several doctors that are listening. Am I saying something that is wrong? That test will tell persons, for instance, if you have septicemia, if you have basically an infection, if you have some other infection like a urinary tract infection, etc., it would tell if your platelets are low, what is your white blood count, your white blood cell count, and so on. So you could tell if your body is trying to fight off an infection, if it has an infection, that then you know you have to go and do further tests to see in which particular area that may be occurring. So a CBC test is a very important test, even if someone is an accident, to understand if that person needs a blood transfusion because the hemoglobin is low, so that person needs to have a blood transfusion immediately. The CBC test would be able to tell the doctor that this is the situation, that person needs to be dealt with now. You have to get the blood now, you have to do a blood transfusion on that person immediately. The person might be heading towards a stroke. So that test is a very important test, and guess what? You can't get it done at the general hospital. You cannot have an important test like that unavailable at our main health facility on the island. And I know those of you who have been involved in healthcare, not just here in Grenada, because I know those of you in Canada listening, and some of you are nurses or have been nurses in the past. I know that there are doctors who are listening in the Caribbean, here in Grenada and outside of Grenada, who are listening to tonight's program. And I'm not saying this as I think so, I'm saying this as a matter of fact. In fact, I also got some information of one situation where there was an individual they have to do a surgery, right? So they were sent to the main facility. They said, okay, come, we got to do the surgery and so on. So they've got to do a blood test. They can't do the blood test at the general hospital. Apparently they have no reagents, etc. to do these tests. So they can't do the tests. They have a lab. They don't have the reagents to be able to do the test so that they can test and say, this is the situation, that is the situation. So they can't do that at the general hospital. So this is what they're asking. They've been asking, and that's why the doctors are upset. Don't blame the doctors. The doctors are very upset with what is taking place there. So you have a situation now where family members are being asked to come, take the blood, and bring it down to some place, either Lagoon Road or Grenada, and so to go and test. So the family members have to come. They're going to draw the blood. The medical professionals are going to draw the blood. And then they're giving the blood to the family members. And the family members know how to take that sample and go, either if they have to walk downtown and take a bus and so with the sample in the vial, they have to walk down the hospital steps and go on a bus and go down Grenada or wherever and pay and have the test done down there before their family member could have their surgery done or whatever treatment they need to have done. That is what we get to now. Yeah? New Minister of Health, worst situation. You have a situation where there has been a problem in relation to the various medications that are needed for surgery. Surgery, Surgery, sometimes you have emergency surgeries that have to be done. You don't have fentanyl, and fentanyl running low. You might have sometimes just a few weeks supply of things like fentanyl. And there's this other one, that they use for pain. And so, yeah, it's some people use it as an illegal drug. The name is slipping me right now. Yeah. But various medication not available. They are not available. And you can't continue to give the impression that, oh, everything is all right and okay with that. No, it's not. We have a call online. Good night. Hello, good night.
Hello, good night.
Hi, good night, caller. You're live. Go right ahead. Hello? Okay, they hung up. Yeah, caller, when you call, just pay attention to the phone line. I was hearing the program in the background. So when you call, just pay attention to the phone line for us. And I think you're a bit back on the program too, because I was actually still hearing Pastor Lewis speaking in the background there. All right, so you can give us a call when you're ready. Yeah, so you have this situation where even the medication, and in some cases down to the stitches, yeah, that you ended up with next to none at the general hospital. Yeah? So I mean, come on, man. A CBC test? A CBC test you can't do? Come on, man. Nurse Wendy, give me a call. Give me a call now, Nurse Wendy. Yeah, call me on the WhatsApp, 440-7377. Give me a call on the WhatsApp now. Yeah, I think I see Nurse Wendy popping somewhere there. Give me a call now. Because I want people to understand the importance of having this test done. Because the doctors are up in arms because of this. They're upset. They're saying straight up they cannot take personal responsibility for this. It's upsetting to them because here it is, you're a doctor, you're trying to save a life. And while you're trying to save a life, it seems as though the government is doing everything for that life to be taken. Morphine, yes, that's the thing, man. Morphine. They don't have morphine. I mean, how are you treating people with serious incidents when we have online with us Nurse Maguire. Good night, Nurse.
Hi, good night, Sheldon. Good night, all Talking Points family.
Yes, how you been doing today?
Good. I was a little bit busy. I just came off a Zoom meeting actually for the medical mission. So I'm just joining the program.
Yes, and we're going to talk about that medical mission as well. Eh? But Nurse Maguire, the thing that I've been hearing now, and I could prove it, but you know sometimes you don't want to expose your source, so I won't do that one tonight. But the doctors at the general hospital are up in arms because they're saying that they're fed up with the situation now. It is continuing too long. A simple CBC test can't, well, I say simple, but a CBC test cannot be done. What is the importance of the CBC test? What is the CBC test? Let me see if I understood it properly.
Sheldon, first of all, I wouldn't call it a simple CBC test because a CBC test, which means, for those who don't know, it means complete blood count. That is not simple, Sheldon. That means that's a life or death situation. Because your CBC, it controls a lot of things. You have, when you do that test, you get in your red blood cells count, you get in your white blood cells, platelets, and I'll explain a little of each. So your red blood cells is what brings your oxygenation through the body. Okay? If that's low, which comes in our hemoglobin, if our hemoglobin is low, it cannot bring the proper oxygenation throughout the body. A lot of the times you see people faint. And the first thing you should ask is, are you anemic? Anemia comes with low red blood cells, your hemoglobin being low. Okay, now, if you're losing blood somewhere, let's say you're bleeding, your hemoglobin is low, and you need that CBC, and you don't know your hemoglobin is low, you can die. If your hemoglobin drop under 7, and you need a transfusion. So how would you know you need a transfusion, and how would you be able to fix that if you don't do the CBC to tell you what your hemoglobin is? The next thing, it measures your platelets. Platelets are responsible for clotting. Now, if your platelets is too low, you can bleed to death. Let's say somebody stab you. You got into a little fight, somebody stabbed you, your platelets low. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to bleed to death if you don't know what's going on. If it's too high, your blood gets thick, and guess what? That you could cause stroke, blood clot because it's too thick. So as a result, it's not flowing properly. Then you have your white blood cells, which is responsible for telling you whether or not you have an infection. So let's say you're running a fever, something is going on, you go to the hospital, you want to know what's going on, you want to know if there's an infection. By the numbers of your white blood cells, just by doing that CBC, you can say, okay, that person has an infection somewhere. Now, I may not know exactly where it is. I have to do further testing, but then I can look at the urine. I can look at other signs to say, okay, maybe it's coming from the urine. If cancer too, you can detect it from that. So it's very important. The CBC to me, it's a life or death situation. And that I don't see it as simple. I see it as a big deal. Because like I said, all these things are life and death situation.
So you're saying if a person is brought to the emergency room, this should be a standard test that is at every emergency room.
That's a must. That's a must.
For people.
Sheldon, I've worked in the emergency room. I've worked on for all my, like I said, 13 and a half years I worked in the hospital. 3.5 years now I've been a nurse practitioner. In the hospital, I've worked in the emergency room. There are certain things when a patient come in, you know you just have to do. There's no if, ands, or but. You just have to do a CBC. You got to check all of those things. You have to check the electrolytes. You have to do certain tests you just must do. Okay? And CBC is one of the tests you must do because like I say, it just, with the CBC, it tells you a whole lot. And it's a lot of life-threatening things that can save your life by doing a CBC.
So what is there an alternative? Is there something else that can be done? Because the doctors, it's gotten to the stage now, it's not just the patient saying, and look, I've gotten a message from a patient here that's telling me, well, imagine this person is not just a patient. This person is a staff at the medical facility as well, at the general hospital. And they had to do the thing outside. And that's a constant complaint from the staff as well, that they have to go outside and get the test done, much less for patients. So is there an alternative?
Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just asking if there's an alternative.
No, how else would you know those things if you don't do a blood test and you don't have blood work? You must have your blood work to see. Your blood work what tells you. You can't sit there and say, you know what? I think that person hemoglobin. I mean, you could say that because based on certain symptoms people having, like if somebody come and they tell me, oh, I'm dizzy, I'm passing out, such like that. The first thing I would say, okay, let me check, which is the CBC again. Let me check that person's hemoglobin, see if it's low. Let me see if they're anemic. Certain things. Somebody come in with a temperature, I would say, you know what? Let me see if there's an infection. But to be sure if there's an infection, I need to see your WBC. I need to see if it's elevated. I need to see the levels. If it's a certain amount, then I know definitely, you know what? That person has an infection. Let me look for the source. Let me see if they have an IV access. If there's, an infection going on, their sepsis. Let me check their urine. From that, then you could do further testing. But if you don't have this main piece of information, how are you going to know what to do and how to treat and what's the problem?
And this goes across the board for a person who might be
across the board.
So a person who might be on a construction site and they get injured and they have to be rushed to the general hospital now. This is an important test that individual needs to have done.
Like I say, your platelets. So your platelets, your normal is 150,000 to 450,000. Now, if you do your CBC and you look at your platelets level and you see it under 150, definitely you gotta treat, because you know why? That person has to be very careful. If it goes to like a little cut from a knife, Sheldon, a little stick from a pin, they could start bleeding and bleed to death. Okay? So you need to know these things and you need to fix it before it causes further problems. Like I say, all of those are life-threatening things if you don't do a CBC and you don't have the results, how are you going to function? I don't understand how they function, and I'm just so, I don't know. I'm confused
And
as to
I
how they
need to
function,
add,
and they cannot do us. And Sheldon, you know what bothered me? The last time when I called your program and I said about why didn't some of the money go towards healthcare? I'm just big on healthcare, Sheldon. Healthcare is the most important thing to me.
it's your
And I
field.
actually had somebody call and say to me, um, you Sheldon is not saying the right thing. They get all these supplies. I want the person to call or put something in the chat to tell me where the supplies and how come nobody has seen it. I
Because
just want that.
this is not the patients, eh? This is from the doctors. They are up in arms in relation to that. You know, they have this certain thing they wouldn't come on TV and say so. But they
Sheldon,
have actually written, the doctors have actually written to the management of the general hospital and stated, because this is a situation that can cause people and may have already caused the deaths of various people. People may
Sheldon,
have
let me
already
tell you
died.
something. Sheldon, I'm very passionate when it comes to my patients. And as I tell people, I go the extra mile. Sheldon, sometimes I don't take lunch. I can't tell you the last time I take the lunch. Because I definitely could not work in an environment like this. If where you don't have your supplies and you don't, I just couldn't work in an environment because I want to make sure my patients are okay. And I'm not just saying that, Sheldon. It could be my enemy. You come in, I don't care. Sheldon, I had people that come in and rape people and do all of that stuff. You rape, that's between you and them. My job is to take care of you and make sure you're okay. And that's what I'm going to make sure I'm doing. How can you function in a hospital with certain things that you're supposed to have and you don't have, and nobody seems to care? Nobody seems to care, Sheldon. I don't understand.
Again, there also seems to be a shortage, at least at some facilities in general, of the high blood pressure medication, the diabetic medication. They got some recently, but not to last more than a month or 6 weeks or so. So it's just they're getting a look at some here, a look at some there. And I know that recently they signed an agreement with an organization, but what that organization does is that that organization would go to various health facilities and collect the unused stuff, the stuff that close to expiry date, those kind of things. They would collect the unused stuff, package that, and send it to other countries. That organization also engages in using what you may call experimental drugs as well. So some things that may not have gone through the full gamut of tests, that organization also uses that sort of thing as well. So before they start talking about organization, sign agreement and giving things, find out about the organization,
And
find out about
exactly,
them.
I mean, I'm not gonna. It's not like I'm coming down on them, but sometimes when you get stuff, sometimes it's like expiration date is not too. It's not a broad expiration date where it's like a year or something like that.
Yeah, just
So you
a
have
couple
limited
weeks, yeah.
time. My thing is, why are we relying on those things? Why can't we as a country come up and say, you know what it is? Healthcare, it should be the most important thing right now. And I'm gonna say it again, and I don't care who upset her, Sheldon, but this independence thing where all that money was spent, I totally was against it, because my thing is, put healthcare first. Healthcare comes first. I don't care what nobody say. It comes first. Like I said, I will give up my lunch. I'll give up going home on time just to spend an extra time with my patient to educate them. Sheldon, when I finish sometimes with my patient, you know what they would say to me? The doctor didn't tell me all of this that you just telling me. If I had known this before, maybe my diabetes would have been controlled. Maybe I would have a leg. Sheldon, I go there and I sit there, and if I have to spend 2 hours to tell a patient, to teach them, just to help them, I would sit there and do it. If I have to get them 7 o'clock, I don't care. As long as I know I made a difference in that person's life, and we have to start caring. We cannot behave like that. These are people's lives. and people are depending on us, and that is not the way we should be behaving. How
Well,
could
my
it,
dear.
how you cannot understand how can a hospital function with not being able to do it? How are they going to treat those patients if you cannot do a CBC?
And that's the question, because the doctors are concerned, because remember their reputation is on the line here. Their reputation, and not just their reputation, because some of it is not their reputation they're studying the fact that, hey, it could be one of their relatives, or it could be
And it's
them.
not even that. It's not even that. As a healthcare worker, most of us are caring. Yes, you do have some people that there for the money. I've seen it, but you have some that actually care, Sheldon. And like I said, my patient is like my family. If they die, it's like weeks, months. I can't sleep because I lost a patient. I tell you that sometimes I used to go to the patient's house, Sheldon, and I would they don't have they say, oh, I have to go to the bank, I don't have money. I would prescribe the medication for them. I would go to the pharmacy, take out the money from my pocket, pay for the medication, and take it back to them. You know why, Sheldon? Because it doesn't make sense. I go to your house, I ordered something for you, I prescribed something for you, don't have the money, and the next I'm hearing, oh, your blood pressure went up so high, you had a stroke, you died, you had a heart attack, your diabetes got so high, now you're dead. And I'm like, you know what? There was something I could have done and I didn't do it. It's you healthcare workers are caring. And I could see what those doctors are going through, because that those are the patients. They went into medicine because they truly care. And if you cannot treat those patients, and you feel helpless,
Well, nurse,
you know,
at
don't
least at
bother them.
least at least we get some black and white paint all over the island, and we got a 500 drone show. So yeah, we got 500 drone
And,
show.
I'm
So we get
still
that.
angry because I'm saying we should be able to do CBC. So it's embarrassing. It's really embarrassing that something's that this is something important that you prefer to have drones and you that than to care about your people.
And
You know.
let me just go off that for a little while now. You mentioned you came off a Zoom in relation to a particular meeting. Any updates for us in relation to the medical mission?
Well, we're still in progress planning it. Um, so far, like I said, I did send a letter to Ministry of Health. I got approval. That was the first stage. So I got approval, and now we're doing the groundwork as to how we're gonna go about um doing the things, how many days we're gonna go for, gonna do exactly what we're trying to,
Remember I
we
said, remember I did say C for liquid include Carriacou and Petit Martinique.
yeah,
We
we
does
always do. That's
we
what
does
I'm
get left
saying.
out sometime by some people, so we don't want to get left.
Actually, this is the third time we did stuff, and the third all three times we did go to Carriacou and Petit Martinique. I remember one year we went to drop off supplies, and I didn't even get to see Carriacou because it rained all day. We was just able to go to the clinic, drop off all the supplies we had to. Jump on the boat again and go to Petit Martinique, do the same. And I couldn't even tell you if it looked black, red, yellow, or green because I didn't even have the time to look around. So we
Okay.
always do that. We're planning, like I said, to have different groups, especially for education, to go around. So a group will be going to Carriacou, a group will be going to Petit Martinique, one stays in Grenada, some goes to the different parishes, and we're going to make sure we do teaching, because teaching is the most important thing, Sheldon. Sometimes if you don't have medication, just by knowing your diet, what should I eat? Or is this good for me? Is this bad for me? That alone could help you. Your diet can help you improve your cholesterol, your blood pressure, your diabetes. If you have on dialysis, it can help you, because heart failure, for instance, a lot of people don't know. They drink a lot of water. I had this patient this week. I went to see her, 80 something years old, and she said to me, the doctor says I should drink 6 to 8 glasses of water daily. And I said to her, what the doctor should have tell you, it applies to some people. Because if you have kidney issues and you have heart failure, you cannot drink all that water. She said, but somebody told me I should drink it. I said, don't listen to that somebody, because when you drink all that water, your heart is not good to pump all that water, that fluid. I said, your kidney is not good to excrete all of that. Where do you think it goes? It accumulates in your feet. It accumulates on your lungs. You hear all that gurgling song. I said, so you see? Then she sat there and she said, that makes sense. So sometimes just, like I said, just a little education would go a long way. Even if you don't have the medication, you could still add years to your life just by your diet.
All right. Nurse Wendy, we'd like to thank you so very much for always being there for us and ensuring that when we call, you answer. Because I would never be able to explain how important a CBC is unless you recall. The only other person I know Dr. Modest is listening. So I know I might be able to get Dr. Modest to call in as well and give us an explanation of that. I know Dr. Dubois is listening. There's a set of doctors that's be listening to the program and nurses and things.
There's a whole lot more, but I just touched, briefly on a few little things because a lot of people sometimes won't understand the depth of it.
Yeah.
So I just touched the surface where, just the minor things that people know, for them to understand. But like I said again, CBC is not a little thing. It's a huge thing. Okay?
All right. Thank you so very much. Enjoy the rest of your night, nurse. I know you're going to be on with us for the rest of the program.
Yeah, I am.
All right. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome. Take care.
Yes, indeed. 440-7377. I don't think I should introduce the other topic at this point in time because it's going to take quite a while for us to speak about. Yeah, that particular one, I don't want to go on it. But I will speak about this one, though. Folks, and yes, the phone lines are open. We want to, again, thank Nurse Wendy Ann McGuire. Always there for us, always there for us at Talking Points. Folks, I just want to remind you the phone lines are open, 440-7377 and 347-329-3101. Yeah. Now, I usually don't bother with this, but I realize a lot of people have been speaking about this particular one today. And so I decided to just pull it up. Now, the gas price has changed. It has now gone up to, the new price is $16.76, up from $15.81, 0.95, well, a 95-cent increase, basically, right? So we're seeing that happening. And folks, a lot of people are saying that the new National Party had a measure in place. And that measure, we have spoken about the consumer price index recently. We've spoken about the inflation, the increase in the price of goods and services here in Grenada. And one of the things that the new National Party did to ensure that you try to keep prices down outside of the reductions that took place in relation to electricity rates. And I don't know for you all, but my last electricity bill, I recognize that it has increased by $50. So I don't know if it is I have been using more. I don't know if it's a situation that is something that has happened to everybody. But I know my last bill has suddenly increased by $50. A significant increase. My bill don't be up there, right? And to see that it has increased to that number, I have a standard thing. I have an average that I usually pay. And now I recognize that it has a serious jump. I haven't done anything differently, but I realize that there's a serious jump in relation to it. So I don't know if it is something that everybody else is going through or just me. But the new National Party put several things in place. One of them was a cap on the gas price. Yeah? To avoid it going up to $16 and $17 and $18 and so on, the gas price was capped. Yeah? It was capped at $15. And when I hear some of them trying to give the impression, right? When I hear some of them trying to give the impression that when it was capped at $15, that what was taking place is that if it goes under $15, that you would put it to $15. That was not the case. Only an idiot would come up with something like that. That's why we'd hear some of them with it. Yeah? if it went under $15, let's say your calculation for that month was $13, then you got it at $13. The calculation for that month was $12, you got it at $12. It was not that if it goes under 15 to 12 or 13 that you gave it at 15. No, if it went down to 12 or it went down to 13 or 14, that is what you paid. If it went over 15, that is when the cap would come into effect, and then it would not be allowed to go over 15. So while the price may have been at $2 more at $17, the price was kept at $15 by the government of Grenada. That is what was taking place. But this new government, again, as usual, decided that they're going to remove the cap. Remember this post on the 17th of September 2022. Yeah, right after they removed the cap. They come in, They ain't even spend enough time inside there to smell this health. But they removed the cap. So remember, the present acting prime minister, I don't know if he acting prime minister right now, but the guy who always acting as prime minister there. Yeah, enjoy the new gas price tomorrow. Why cap it at 15 when you can give it for less? This is the reason you cap it at 15. Because if it was for less, you paid less for it. You weren't paying 15 for it if it was less. That's absolute not. No wonder some people, when they're trying to operate business and thing, all kind of thing does happen. Because if they couldn't understand the simple concept of if it was under 15, you paid whatever that price is, and it was capped at 15. So if the price after calculation was over 15, that you only pay 15, you don't pay the additional $1, $2, $3, $4, $10. You pay the 15. That is what the new National Party put in place. But the cost, when it was calculated at that time, mid-September 2022, it went under the $15 mark. And that was after the cap was removed. So they said, well, no, why cap it at 15 when we can give you for less? Yeah, let me see if Oleg giving it for less now. Oleg going and give it for less now, or Oleg putting the price on the Grenadian people. So the 95 cents has been added. And to some of you may say, well, oh, it's only 95 cents. Yeah, those are you that saying that ain't driving and ain't how to buy gas. You just feel it in your pocket when you have to pay the additional. Yeah? So it just goes to show a lot of them have to be eating their words. That is what continually happening. They have to continually be eating their words. Anyway, 440-737. Oh, I missed a couple calls here. 440-7377. Those are the numbers for you to get onto the inside of tonight's program. Remember, you can call us on WhatsApp as well. 440-7377. And yeah, hey, Jacket Man. Again, a lot of messages here, boy. A lot of people feel it for you. Believe me, a lot of people really, really feel it for you, and they understand and they empathize. And that's the difference here. Within this organization, we empathize, we sympathize, and we look for solutions. In the other organization, they just show a lack of concern, a lack of care for anybody but themselves. In a lot of instances, not even close family members they care about, just themselves. That is what they care about, and to enrich themselves. So that is the reason that they could go and they do all the things that they have done and increase their salary to the levels that they've increased it and so on, and then try to pressurize everybody else in this country. Every category of people in this country, they're trying to pressurize. I know if they feel sauce, they're trying to cook us. Let me just pull this call up. Hello, good night.
Hey, good night, Sheldon. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm good, man. You go right ahead. You're live.
Yeah, good night, Nurse. Well done. Sheldon, I'm talking points, family. We have enough ammo. We have enough clips to bury NDC from now till election time. Good night. Enough.
But that's all you call and say, man. The man gone, Boss, it have a lot of clips that I have not played yet. Yeah, you all know I take night and make. You know what time I went to bed this morning? I went to bed this morning close to 3 a.m., just before 3 a.m. And I was back up at 6 a.m. Yeah, well, just a little before. For some reason, I was naturally wake before the alarm. Yeah, but I went to bed at 3, so there are a lot more clips, I I just have not decided to play them yet. You know, sometimes you strategize, you decide when you're going to play certain things. Because as we have promised the Member of Parliament for Carriacou and Petit Martinique, there is a volume 2 and a volume 3 that we are yet to play. Yeah, all that we have played thus far is volume 1, and I see some of them like they're getting crazy because we've played volume 1. Yeah, we just play volume 1. There's volume 2 and there's volume 3 to come, and the time for that will come. Yeah, and folks, earlier this week, on Tuesday, in fact, we had the Honorable Kate Skeeter Lewis Peters on with us, and we were speaking about various programs inclusive of the Youth Biz program. And earlier today, I saw a message by her on social media where it was announced that the Youth Biz Center that existed in St. Mark has been closed down, that isn't operating and so on. And that Youth Biz Center was to provide opportunity for the young people, particularly the young people on the West Coast. Those of you in St. John who are listening to this program right now, those of you in St. Mark, those of you in St. Patrick, East and West, that Youth Biz Center in St. Mark was supposed to provide opportunity to you all. That was a place that you could go and they would help you do a business plan, even if you were not applying for a loan under the government of Grenada, but you were going to apply for a loan, let's say from one of the commercial banks. You want to start a business, but you decide, I don't want to go through the Youth Biz or the GDB or so, but I want to try Republic Bank, or I want to try Cooperative Bank, or I want to try Grenville Credit Union or Arise or Nexa, that you wanted to try one of those, so that you had to put a business plan together to put before them. That Youth Biz Center, for free, the individuals there would help you put together that business plan so that you don't have to go and find, because there's some people that charge as much as $700 and so to put together a business plan, hundreds of dollars. So instead of going through that, you had an opportunity to get this done free. Right there in St. Mark. This administration decided close that down. That's what it decided, close it down. So it is closed right now. You had another Youth Biz Center that was created, that was set up, that was outfitted. The only thing to do was to cut the ribbon, open the place, and let the staff move in Beaton, in St. David, in the community center there. That Youth Biz Center ought to have been providing opportunities for the young people of St. David, the same constituency that the Prime Minister claims. That same constituency, the most populous constituency on the entire island. Yet still, that Youth Biz Center, I don't think he ever opened, and it is not operating as a Youth Biz Center right now, where you had staff from the Ministry of Youth that would have been there. And the same thing, so that when the young man in St. David decide he want to work that 2 acres of land and so on, but he needs some assistance to be able to get the equipment, and he needs the assistance to be able to get the planted material, or, very important, that he needs to get the assistance to get the irrigation set up. Instead of keeping that Youth Biz Center open, so that young fella now don't have to go and try and find somebody to write a business plan for him and find the money to pay that person, and then still find money to get other things done before they could even try to get the money from a organization, and they ain't sure on it. That Youth Biz Center would have provided that opportunity for that young person. Instead of that, no. That's the kind of thing that's been going on. We have a call online. Hello?
Kerry.
Yes, sir.
Good night. How are you? Good?
I'm good, man.
All right, look, I have 3 points to make to you because I hear you talk about last night, tonight. In the February month, I paid $109 for electricity. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Right, $109 for electricity. In the month of March, I paid $153. So I doesn't know where the prices come up. And
so wait, let me get it again.
Differently to a lot of people.
Give me yours again.
Yeah?
Tell me yours again over the last couple months.
February month, I paid $109. And in March, I paid 153. Well, I will look into see how April will shape up. But
Well,
as I say, I operate my fridge differently.
I see in April, and believe me, in my case, April has increased by over $50.
Yeah.
Now, what I would say is this though, I tend not to look at February because February is a shorter month. So the billing cycle is shorter with February, so it always looks less compared to the other months of the year. But I was very surprised between March.
I haven't gotten my bill for April yet, so I'm still waiting to see. The next one is that on Monday, you listening to me?
Yes, I'm listening to you.
On Monday, someone called me and they tell me that they got a letter from, either a letter or a call from GDB telling them they're in arrest. So they must try to pay the bill before the 15th of this month. Otherwise, they will have to put in interest on it or something like that, right? And just imagine the amount of money they have to pay is 400 plus, about $425, $430. I wonder those that have $1 million and $2 million and $3 million. I wonder if they threaten them already.
Well, I don't know if they're threatening them.
I had to go and assist that person. I had to go and assist that person. So I didn't mind. And the last point I want to make. Career diplomats, are they starting at the age of 60 and 70 years? I thought if you want to be a career diplomat, you should start in your early 20s so that you can make a great input in the diplomatic area. But I can't see somebody having 60 and 70 years, you making input. The only time you can make that, you're making input in debt because you almost come into debt. So I cannot see the reason why they putting these people on 60 and 70 years as diplomats and they doesn't know anything but diplomacy.
Well, and that's the other thing. It's if the person is already at that particular age and they've never worked in that area before, and you say you're creating not a political, but you're creating a professional diplomat. I can understand how you could take a person at that age who also has various medical, who has at least one medical challenge that I've heard of, and you're taking that person and I don't know.
Because remember, at the first, before they increase the retirement age, you were 60 years, and if you retire, how could you be a diplomat at that age? And now they increase it, 60, 65. Let us put it that way. And how you could give somebody 70 years as a diplomat? Sheldon, that is all I have to make. And have a good evening. And
yes, indeed.
Have a nice trip home.
Thank you so very much, my brother.
Brother.
4407377. That's 4407377. Somebody's telling me that they have not been hearing the callers clearly. Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing them clearly on my end. They're hearing me. So will you let me know if that's a constant problem? Yeah, let me know if that's a constant problem. I have still not decided fully if we are having tomorrow night's program. As I said, there are challenges with the Friday night program. I try to do it, but there are challenges that I go through when I have to do the Friday night program. I try to do it as much as possible. I know a lot of people look forward to the Friday night programs, but I do have challenges when doing that program. Yeah, so not every week I'll be able to do it. Yeah, that's why sometimes, according to what we're doing, I would try and take the time and get whatever has to be done otherwise. But the Friday night program, I'm still not 100% sure that we are doing tomorrow night. We'll try, but still not 100% sure that we will be doing tomorrow night. 440-7377 and 347-329-3101. Those are the numbers for you to call and get on to tonight's program. Yeah, listen, what they are doing right now, number one, they didn't want Black Wizard, the Elwin McQuilkin, around. They did not want him here in Grenada around, and especially in St. Andrew. They have their reasons why they don't want him around. Because if you have somebody who is in a seat and you have somebody else who wants to take that seat, they have their reasons they don't want Black Wizard around. So they make sure they give him a gracious offer. So he has gone down to Trinidad as the representative down there. They give him a gracious offer. So he out of the way, he down in Trinidad, right? You don't want another man that causing problem for you in St. Andrew. You find St. Andrew is a stronghold of the New National Party, the NNP, either winning all the seats or the majority of the seats there. You don't want Glenn to mess it up for you. Take Glenn and you send him in Cuba. So we recognize that you also have a problem now with Mr. Qualis. But he himself has different issues. So you made him a gracious offer as well now. So he has his gracious offer where he is going out from the island right now too. Yeah, he has his own gracious offer. So we recognize what you all doing. Don't think we stupid and try this kind of nonsense with us. Don't take us for no fool. We're not stupid. We have a call online. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I touched the wrong button. Go ahead.
Like you need a tutorial how to operate the new equipment, man.
No,
You know?
I kinda shifted my notes while I was thinking. So I pressed the Zoom button instead of the WhatsApp button.
All right. Well, I'd like to take a moment to say thanks to everyone who has donated, contributed, and assisted in every aspect to get this through the new, all of the new equipments and everything sounding nice. Now you make me have to go and do a little revision in my studio and kind of up my quality too. But anyway.
You better.
No. You know, on top of that, you know it. I just cause man to spend money, you know. Upon today's what? Tuesday night.
Today's Thursday.
I went to Thursday. Tuesday night I went to fellow Grenadian parties, had a little birthday get together. So I visited, you know, for a few. And upon getting there was a few both what they call nationals of the two major parties, political parties in there. You know?
Yeah.
So upon reaching I do so pull out my phone, rest it on top of the bar, come sitting by the bar. And I say, well, let me go here what my partner talking about tonight. So somebody say, who is that? Sheldon? I say, yeah, man. Turn it on, blah, blah, blah. The next man say, boy, yeah, man, when you causing division in the country. I say, yeah, what you say? The next one say, well, not he alone, the other mouthpiece, well, you know, they're talking about Prince Tahit. It's two of them responsible. And So I turned to one of them. I said, wait, aren't you the one of them that used to say before the campaign, when campaign was going on, such and such and such a things and things? Because see, I had called home and telling people them, and then being doing a good job up here, you know, in PR work. Because it's like when you listen to Grenadians in America, Canada, and all they talk about is like NDC seeming to be the only political party that's going on, you know? You remember we had that conversation? And well, I want to tell me, but you, nobody don't know what? Nobody don't know who you are. I said, well, what do I mean? My name is so and so, you know me. Nah, man. 1 minute you sound like them, next minute you sound like that other. No, you know, argument break out.
It's a group of Grenadians, that will happen.
Partner, it's about 10 to 12 of them. There's another fraction of people, maybe about 4 to 6, who ain't saying nothing. So you don't know, which side of the fence or if they're on the fence where they are, where they stand. I don't care about that. And it's just me alone against the rest. Hey. But at that time I say, you know what? I'm drinking, you know. My drinking times. Let me go pour a rivers. So I walk around by the bar, pour the rivers, and I come back for them. You know they're gone. Partner, they bail.
But wait, you know, I don't get into the back and forth with people in relation to those things. I refuse to get in the back and forth with people with what some people are saying out there. And the reason is simply this. I'm the least of the problems that Grenada has right now. I am not the CBC that people can't get when you go to the health center, to the medical facility, the emergency room. I am not that. I am not the cause of the people who have lost their jobs due to victimization, or who you're basically threatening now that they're squatting. I'm not the cause of any of that. I think there are so many issues that we have to address in this country. The problem that we're having with our young people, creating opportunities for our young people. Our farmers and fishermen are having problems. The budget that was put for last year for farmers, that was woefully misused. In fact, the vast majority of that budget was not utilized, and farmers need things like irrigation, etc., to help them. The ministry had the money, and Persuader and them total failure when it came to the Ministry of Agriculture. I mean, it's if it wasn't so sad, it would be laughable. So you have all of these things. I ain't gonna take myself and make myself the issue. That wouldn't happen.
Brother, every time somebody mentioned the name Persuader, I just laugh because I really can't figure farting. But anyway, that besides the point. Normally I don't get to no argument, no back and forth with none of them. But I had to, because 5 of those individuals was big mouthpiece during the campaign. Huge. About nothing was done in Grenada since 83. So I had to ask one of them. I said, the road that run all the way through, where you born and grow, where your mother and them live now, where your father not too long passed away, and the hospital was able to go right up there to get body. When that road was built by, I find you making it personal. But how is that personal? That road wasn't there when I left Grenada in 88. So if nothing was done in Grenada since 83, how that road mysteriously appeared? And I start pointing out things like that. So, and then all of a sudden now, they just mellowed out. And then one of them doesn't say, but at the end of the day, it's kind of disappointing, how we going fighting among ourselves and I said, but when you're creating it, and then blaming other people for it. But it's all well and good. That's my 2 cents a day. Have a good night, my friend.
Wait.
I'm still working.
Wait. Let me tell you one here. Years ago, when the airport was still up in Pearls, because you asked the guy when the road came about. Years ago, when the airport was in Pearls, right? A taxi driver went and he picked up some diplomats, non-Grenadians, at the airport in Pearls. And while they were coming down, they were commenting on, Grenada and how Grenada is quaint and so on. You're not seeing skyscrapers and so. And they were saying, when you're in our country and you see a skyscraper, within 6 months you see a building this size, and within a year you could see a skyscraper up and so on. So while they were coming down, they passed the cocoa station in Carlton Junction. So they asked him, what's that? He said, I don't know, that wasn't there when I was coming to collect all you. Later, Wade.
You have a good night, my friend. Bless up.
Yeah, the cocoa station wasn't there when he was going to collect them on the airport. 440-7377, 347-329-3101. Those are the numbers for you to call on the inside. We just have roughly about 6 minutes remaining on tonight's program. Jacket Man, Mr. Francis George, says to make sure and pass that message on to you. Mr. Francis George says he will surely come and look for you when he is in the country later this year. Yeah, when he's back home, he's going to make sure and come and look for you. That's Mr. Francis George. He said make sure that before the program ends, I pass that message on to Jacket Man. So Jacket Man, Mr. Francis George, say he will surely, when he come in later this year, he's going to make sure and pass and look for you, my brother. 440-7377, 347-329-3101. Those are the numbers for you to get onto the inside. We may have to wrap in a short while. I think there's a call on the overseas line. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Sheldon.
Hey, how you doing, sir?
Laughing right up to me.
But that wasn't there when the man going up the road, brother.
I can't stop laughing. Anyway, that gentleman that spoke about that living in that place of St. Andrews, there is no lights or anything. I'm sitting here and this thing touched me so much. And then with Pastor Lewis, his scenario right now, is that what we're coming to? That is something was given to somebody else because you're not affiliated with a political party, you're squatting, and you have MPs coming around and making it clear that they're looking for places for their supporters.
My brother,
What is the name
before,
of what is the name of our country again?
Grenada. But let me remind you of something. Remember, this is a trend when it comes to the NDC. Before the 2008 general election, the late Elvin G. Nimrod gave land to various people in Carriacou. You know what happened after 2008? The NDC administration took that land back from the people. They say it was improperly given. And the people who get the land, they take it back from them. This NDC administration, houses were given out. And if the houses were given out improperly, the person who improper in the midst of them right now, the improper person in the midst of them right now, because it was done by that individual. So they gave it out. So the houses were given out in Carriacou to various people. They went and they paid for the utility connection and everything. And you know what happened afterwards? The NDC administration come in and they say, no, we're taking those houses back, and take the houses back from the people. So what is taking place with Pastor Lewis down in his area should not surprise us. There's a trend. There's a mindset within that organization.
But I thought we crossed that bridge already, because you know the thing that really gets to me is that we preach in unity, right? We preaching that, okay, we are for everybody, and instead of making strides, instead of you building on what the NNP has put in place, you take 20 steps backwards, and you want to create it on your own, and you want to say, well, I did this, and come on, I mean, like all our cries are falling on deaf ears. You know, sometimes as Camille does tell you, you just give too much information and too much advice, because when you do it sometimes, then they run and act on it. You know, I just hope that people in Grenada and in the diaspora who can vote, because I know a lot who went down and got registered who lives up here. I hope when it comes around for the next election that we do the right blasted thing, because we cannot take another 5 years of this. This is like North Korea right now. Man, you have food. You take away the water from the farmers. These are the people, the backbone of Grenada. And you want to preach unity? Well, better we take the yellow out of the flag and just keep red and green alone. Or make the flag green. Take the yellow out. Because if the three colors cannot, if two colors out of the tree cannot get together on a small island of 120 square miles, then they're not supposed to be united on the damn flag.
Yes, indeed.
This is my contribution. Good night.
My brother.
And if you have no program tomorrow, enjoy.
No.
I
think we will do the program tomorrow. I'm just working out in my mind how it will be happening. All right, my brother. Okay. Thank you so very much.
All right.
All right, good. Thank you. Yes, folks, and just a reminder here, those of you that can, remember, you're going to the thing that you see at the end there with Go to Fet. Yes, go there, because we need the assistance, whether it's $5, $10, $20, you can give 50, you can give 100, whatever it is that you can give. You can use that portal, and you can send a donation, right? And also remember our good brother Turkey. He continues to need our assistance at the Nexa Credit Union, account 2110. Oh boy, don't I forget it? 093. Yeah, 211093 at the Nexa Credit Union. All right. So remember, we do need the donations as well, 5, 10, whatever you can donate, and we also need to assist our good brother Turkey. Folks, that's all the time we have for tonight. It is 10 o'clock in the Isle of Spice. We are heading out of here. We'll be on with you tomorrow night. Yeah, we're going to be on. Let me make the commitment. We'll be on with you tomorrow night from 8 p.m. with more talking points. My name is Sheldon Scott. I am out of here.
wouldn't like it, but I just got to sing my song. It's the wisdom and the knowledge that Jah give to I man. Sometimes I just sit down and study how a poor man does be so unlucky. Sometimes I just sit down and wonder how a poor man does have to suffer. So anything you do right as a poor man, they'll say you wrong. Anything you do right as a poor man, they'll say you wrong. Living with the high cost of living, yeah, what some people doing. The rich man balling out mother, while is the poor that feeling the pressure. Anything you do right as a poor man, they'll say you wrong. And no matter what you do as a poor man, they'll say you wrong. A rich man will go to the forest and buy some land. When time to walk it, he come to call the poor man. It's the poor man who take the struggle. Sometimes he could end up in trouble. As soon as he get old and feeble, the rich man say, boy, you are able. So no matter what you do as a poor man, they'll say you're wrong. And anything you do right as a poor man, they'll say you're wrong. Living with the high cost of living, hear what some people doing. The rich man balling one manner, but it's the poor that feeling the pressure. Any right thing you do as a poor man, they'll say you're wrong. And no matter what you do as a poor man, they'll say you're wrong. A poor man does work so hard for his daily bread. Monday to Friday and he still cannot rest his head. He has his children to educate. He doesn't want them to be no illiterate. He wants to send them